Specialist Jonathan P. Barnes.
Specialist Jacob D. Barton.
Sergeant Michael J. Beckerman.
Corporal Ricky L. Bell.
Specialist Joel L. Bertoldi.
Chief Warrant Officer 2, Michael T. Blaze.
Staff Sergeant Ronald C. Milestone.
First Lieutenant Amos C. R. Bach.
Private First Class Brian J. Bradbury.
Private First Class Lucas M. Bray.
Staff Sergeant Paul F. Brooks.
Major Sid W. Brookshire.
Sergeant Travis L. Burkhart.
Specialist Michael C. Campbell.
Sergeant Ryan N. Campbell.
Specialist Justin B. Carter.
Corporal Jacob R. Carver.
Specialist Robert K. Charlton.
Lance Corporal Matthew W. Clark.
Sergeant Christopher M. Cooper.
Specialist James F. Costello III.
Specialist Richard M. Crane.
Sergeant Robert W. Crow, Jr.
Master Sergeant Thomas A. Crowell.
Specialist Justin E. Fulbright.
Sergeant Robert G. Davis.
Specialist Todd E. Davis.
Staff Sergeant Michael L. Deason.
Lance Corporal Leon E. Durbax.
Specialist Kevin R. Dixon.
Sergeant Edward F. Dixon III.
Sergeant Gary D. Dirk.
First Lieutenant William A. Eddins.
Private First Class Matthew J. England.
Private First Class Colby N. Furman.
Specialist Jason D. Fingar.
Specialist James F. N. Finley.
Sergeant Zachary M. Fisher.
Specialist Stephen J. Fitzmaurice.
Corporal Jacob R. Flesher.
Sergeant Edward W. Forrest, Jr.
Sergeant Michael T. Fuga.
Private Alva L. Gaylord.
First Lieutenant Mark C. Gelina.
Sergeant Milton A. Giss, Jr.
Private First Class Jesse A. Gibbons.
Sergeant First Class Richard S. Gottfried.
Private First Class Andrew J. Habseger.
Specialist Blake W. Hall.
Corporal Nathan T. Hammond.
Lance Corporal Nicholas J. Hand.
Chief Warrant Officer 3, Michael L. Hartwick, Jr.
Major William F. Hecker III.
Lance Corporal Eric R. Helt.
Sergeant Nicholas M. Hudson.
Staff Sergeant Jamie L. Huggins.
Staff Sergeant James R. I. V.
Sergeant Isaac B. Jackson.
Sergeant Lindsay T. James.
Captain Christopher B. Johnson.
Private First Class Lavinna L. Johnson.
Specialist Christopher M. Katzenberger.
Staff Sergeant Jeremy A. Katzenberger.
Chief Warrant Officer 2, Matthew G. Kelly.
Corporal Dallas L. Kearns.
Tech Sergeant William J. Kerwood.
Staff Sergeant Daniel L. Kisling, Jr.
Sergeant Dennis D. Kisseloff.
Sergeant Adam J. Kohlhaas.
Sergeant First Class Randall A. Lamberson.
Sergeant Brandon E. Maggart.
Specialist Russell M. McCoskey.
Private First Class Christopher L. Merlon.
Corporal Donald M. Marler.
Major Michael R. Martinez.
Chief Petty Officer Matthew D. Mason.
Private Anthony M. Mazzarella.
Private First Class Richard L. McNulty III.
Specialist Kenneth A. Melton.
Specialist Bradley L. Melton.
Staff Sergeant Sean M. Miltler.
Sergeant Melvin Y. Mora.
Staff Sergeant James D. Morris.
Specialist Joshua J. Munger.
Specialist Matthew M. Murchison.
Specialist Edward L. Myers.
Specialist Peter J. Navarro.
Specialist Joshua M. Luce.
Lance Corporal Rex A. Page.
Staff Sergeant Lawrence L. Parrish.
Lance Corporal Matthew P. Pathenos.
Captain Travis L. Patriquin.
Private First Class Michael R. Packey.
Sergeant First Class Robert W. Ferris.
Sergeant Amanda N. Henson.
Specialist Jesse G. Polar.
Sergeant Austin D. Pratt.
Specialist Sean P. Rankinen.
Specialist Dylan T. Reed.
Chief Warrant Officer 2, Ricky L. Richardson, Jr.
First Lieutenant Daniel P. Riordan.
Sergeant First Class Charles M. Saddle.
Staff Sergeant Charles R. Sanders, Jr.
Sergeant First Class Ronald W. Sawyer.
Lance Corporal Patrick W. Shamel.
First Lieutenant Roslyn L. Schulte.
Colonel Stephen K. Scott.
Lance Corporal Darren T. Settle.
Sergeant First Class Daniel R. Sexton.
Private First Class Jeremy R. Shank.
Staff Sergeant Russell K. Shoemaker.
First Sergeant Billy J. Sears.
Staff Sergeant Bradley J. Skelton.
Captain Benedict J. Smith.
Private First Class Jeremy D. Smith.
Sergeant Tyler Smith.
SO2 Adam O. Smith.
Staff Sergeant Trevor L. Spink, Jr.
Specialist Christopher G. Stark.
Sergeant Matthew F. C. Schroeder.
Chief Petty Officer Sean Patrick Sullivan.
Corporal James E. Summers III.
Sergeant Timothy J. Sutton.
Sergeant Philip J. Spitock.
Specialist Robert D. Varga.
Lance Corporal Philip D. Vinage.
Sergeant Brandon K. Wallace.
Master Sergeant Thomas A. Walsmith.
Hospital Corpsman Second Class Christopher G. Walsh.
Sergeant Donald R. Walters.
Staff Sergeant Shannon B. Weaver.
Lance Corporal Drew W. Weaver.
Sergeant First Class Gerald A. Weisenhunt.
Hospital Corpsman Second Class Jared P. White.
Specialist Jeffrey L. White, Jr.
Sergeant Charles T. Wilkerson.
Private First Class Matthew W. Wilson.
Private Vincent C. Winston, Jr.
Sergeant First Class William P. Woods, Jr.
Specialist Wyatt Sterling.
Corporal Gunnar W. Zwell.
Please be seated.